Hey guys, Billy from Ad Support here, and in this video we're going to be going over how to basically reverse engineer how much profit your ads are going to make before you launch them, and then also as a side part of that we're going to be going over exactly which metrics are the most important, how you should optimize things, and by using this forecasting tool you'll basically be able to model out if you improve X metric, what will that do to everything, and obviously what will it do to the back end ROAS, which is obviously the most important thing. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So on the right here, as you can see, everything is laid out as far as every stage of a VSL call funnel. So from the spend that's inputted, how much every CPM is every 1,000 impressions. So how much 1,000 impressions is going to cost us, how many impressions we're going to get, the CTR, how many clicks that gets us, what is the cost per click, what is the landing page conversion rate, leads, cost per lead, lead to call rate, which is how many of those leads turn into calls. There's been, sometimes I refer to this as VSL conversion rate, but in more recent times, that's not an accurate portrayal of all the factors that contribute to lead to call rate. So that's the reason it's changed here. Then how many calls that's going to spit out, what is the cost per call, what is average show up rate, how many live calls does that get you, what is average close rate, how many closes, what is the program price, what is the cash collection percentage as far as how much front end cash is collected on those sales calls versus total contracted revenue. And from that you can see the total cash, total contracted revenue, the cash ROAS, and then the revenue ROAS. So again, I've just done this with 5,000 to spend. If you just make a copy of this doc, you can use it for yourself and start running through some things. So the purpose of this really, like, ultimately the benchmarks I put in here are pretty average. They're what they should be. Probably like, again, worst case scenario, again, CPM could be higher than this. CTR, again, it's going to be around 1%. That's what you should be striving for. Again, there's reasons why it could be below that and still work, which I'll go into. Landing page conversion rate, especially on Facebook ads, which is predominantly what this is projected for. But again, the same thing will work for Google ads. We're looking at about a 20% conversion rate on the landing page. Again, on Google, that's much lower. From what I've been seeing, again, 5 to 10% is more likely for Google, but on Facebook, 20 to 25% is where we want to be at. Lead to call rate, again, 15% would be on the low side, 15 to 20% is really the ideal spot, with 25 being a sign that things are working really well. Show up rate, 60% again is what you should strive for. If it's getting to be below 50%, there's likely some gaps that you need to fill as far as your show up rate procedure. Again, that's a whole different video, so if you have questions on that, hit me up. Close rate, again, 15%. For cold traffic's probably relatively good. If you can get it higher than that and closer to 20%, especially if it's you closing, that's probably going to be the case. But if you have a sales team, 15% across the board is probably the likely scenario. Again, program price, yours might differ, but again, for a lot of high ticket programs, it's around 5,500 to 7,000. So you can just adjust this for your own program. And then the cash collection percentage, 60% is really what you should be striving for. So if it's lower than that, if you have a lot of payment plans, for example, if you have like a 12 pay, a 6 pay or something like that, like really what we recommend or what we see like the clients that we work with doing is maximum of a 3 pay. And if you do that, the cash collection percentage will go up. Cool. So basically the purpose of this model is just to go through, again, this is probably going to happen before we launch, but again, if you've already launched, you can use this to input your own metrics and look at what the cash ROAS is going to be and what impact the changes that you could possibly make are, whether it's launching new ads, trying to improve the CTR, whether it's a landing page split test, whether it's implementing cold callers to call your leads to improve the lead to call rate, whatever it is, you're going to be able to see the impact of this on this chart. So as far as how to use it, all of these ones in gray are the ones that you can change. Everything else is a formula, so don't touch it or you'll break it. So for example, let's say 35 is a worst case scenario, we're actually getting a $25 CPM. You can see the impact that makes. The cash ROAS jumps up, so does the revenue ROAS from about 4 to nearly 6. So it can have a big impact on CPM. Honestly, I've probably done this the wrong way around, so let's go back there. In order of importance, this stuff, like the stuff at the bottom, is the most important stuff. So if you can get your cash collection percentage up, again, the cash ROAS is going to jump, which will make a big difference to how far you're able to scale your ads, because essentially you will scale your ads on cash ROAS, you won't scale them on revenue ROAS, because again, that's revenue that's not been realized yet. And also you've got to factor in what your collection rate is on those payment plans. So if people are falling off, people aren't paying, people aren't completing, there's refunds, etc. The total contracted revenue might not be 20,000, it might end up being closer to 15 or 16. So again, if you just scaled based on that, you would be in a big problem. So this stuff at the back end is the most important. One metric that we look that's really pretty much a benchmark and everything else feeds into, and when we look at making changes, is like, does it improve this metric, is cost per qualified show. So that's something that you should be actively looking at, because again, close rate is going to play into that, but again, the amount of, from an ad standpoint, the amount of calls that you're getting live with your salespeople with qualified prospects is going to be the number one metric that you should be looking at. And if things don't improve that, then it's not good. Because again, I can get the CTR to 2% by making give less information in the ad, creating less intent in the ad, but then ultimately that's going to affect the downstream metrics. Probably the landing page conversion rate is going to go down. The hyperbolic example I always use for CTR when people say like a high CTR is good, is you could make an ad that says click here if you want to make $1 million guaranteed. You'll probably get a 10% CTR, but the amount of people of those that opt in, and then the amount of people that book a call is going to be none probably. So again, something to keep an eye on there. So these metrics here, it is pretty much, if I drew an arrow here, it would be of descending importance. So CPM, not something I really worry about. If it's within this, again, if the CPM is below $10, I'd probably be getting concerned, especially on Facebook. On Google, maybe not so much. And then if the CPM is like above $100, then it's a big concern, and that you should be doing things to mitigate that, whether it's like there's compliance issues that are causing that, whether you're running to really, really small audiences and you need to broaden them up, start targeting broad, etc. Like those are pretty much the only things you can do to manipulate the CPM, so it's not really something we worry about. CTR, again, I see a lot of people go the wrong direction on CTR and try to improve it, but it destroys the ads. And again, we have clients right now where the CTR is like 0.7%, sometimes 0.6%, but the ads are performing really, really well because they're super direct. There's going to be less people click on the ad, but the people that click on the ad are very interested because they're clear on what it is. They're clear on like who it's for, and so we have less people click, but better results because of that. Again, landing page percentage, you could do the same thing. You could have, I mean, there's probably different words for it, but I've always called it like a blind opt-in, where you just have a very, very vague message on their landing page, super simple, just headline, and then a button that opens a pop-up that they opt into. You could create that. I could get your landing page conversion rate to 40%, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get twice the results on the back end as a landing page that converts at 20%, but gives people the correct information. So you really want to be careful about that. Lead to call rate, again, there's so many factors that contribute to this. It's a very complex subject that I'll probably go into on a different video. But again, you're not just the conversion rate of your VSL as terms of day one calls booked, but your email is going to contribute to this. The follow-up that you have as far as cold callers calling the leads from the VSL call funnel and trying to book them on a call, that's going to contribute as well. Again, the message on your landing page and ad, is that congruent with what's being said in the VSL? That's going to have an impact on the lead to call rate, aside from just kind of how good your VSL is. Is it congruent with the rest of the marketing message further down in the funnel? So this is an important one, and there's lots of things that contribute to that. So you need to be careful and really get the data and be sure that the action you're making is going to be something that improves the VSL, the lead to call conversion rate. Because again, you could split test your VSL all day, but not get the bump that you're looking for, because there's so many other factors and holes in the ship probably that are causing LO's lead to call rate, but more than just the actual VSL. So cool, show up rate, again, bunch of shit that goes into that, but if you're at like 60%, you should be pretty good. There's not really too much you can go too wrong with this. Again, the only really time sometimes people, which is a bit counterintuitive, if you can actually send too many messages and just smother people. So sometimes it can make sense to just pull some of the communication, especially the automated stuff, the automated messaging, out of the show up rate procedure, and just see what that does to show up rate. But again, it's something that's pretty easy to track. The main things really are, again, going to be the VSL, the conversations that the cold callers are having with the leads. Are they setting them up appropriately for the call? Do they know what this is, or do they just think it's a chat, not a sales call? And then also what you're doing on the back end. So the thank you page they land on after they book a call, is that set up with a video running through what they need to do, how they need to accept the email, accept the calendar invite, accept the Google Calendar, whitelist the email that it's being sent from. You can show them a bunch of testimonials, etc., and just set them up correctly for the call. So those are really the biggest things. Again, close rate, I'm not a sales guy, I'm a marketing guy, so not really too much I can comment on as far as this. But yeah, like I've seen, 15 to 20% is normally what's achievable, especially to cold traffic at scale. So that's really what you should be aiming for. And again, program price and is something that you can manipulate. I've heard like mentors of mine talk about if your cash collection percentage is above like 60-70%, that you should increase your price. So that's maybe something that you can run with, because again, it's going to have a big impact. If we even change it to 6,500, you can see how much the ROAS improves, and because of that, it means we can spend more on ads. So yeah, that's the big thing. So cool, that's pretty much everything. As far as limitations of the model, we've talked about this. If you don't have ads live right now, this is all woo-woo magic stuff. You're probably not going to land too far from this, as long as you've set up your funnel well and you know what you're doing. And your ads are good. So from that point of view, it's helpful. But again, this is just all pretend. It's all fugazi. It doesn't exist until you start running ads, and then you can start optimizing things. So I'm just going to run into a few examples just to show you basically how this works and what you would use this for. So as far as the average metrics, I've already covered that. Those are already here. I'll reset this back to this by the time you get this sheet. So that should all be good. So I looked at somebody's account recently, and their CTR was 0.4%, their landing page conversion rate was 10%, and their lead to call rate was 25%, which is good. So you can see just from this, I can put it in there, like they are just not going to, even with all the back end metrics the same, and I think their close rate was even lower than this, they're just not going to be profitable. Again, the cash ROAS is negative. You could scale in the negative, but given the revenue ROAS isn't much higher, this is a bad spot. So again, for me, the biggest issue here is the CTR. If the CTR was, again, I've said the back end metrics are most important, but sometimes you often need to start at the front with these things. If the back end metrics are good. So again, the lead to call rate's good. So I know that's not an issue. But the fact that the landing page conversion rate is so low and the CTR is so low means there's probably something being said or not said in the ad that's causing the low CTR, and then also causing them not to convert. Because in the example I gave before, where the CTR was like 0.7%, but the landing page converting at 25%, clearly people will have the correct information, they're already keen, and so when they land on the landing page, they see a similar message, they go, yes, this is for me, and opt in. So that's not happening here, so it's something that needs to be changed. So again, even if we be conservative and say, let's get it to like 0.75%, again, we're going to be profitable with these ads on the front end, and the revenue ROAS is going to look much better. As far as benchmarks, which is not something I mentioned, normally between 2 to 2.5 cash is what I look for with a client account for us to be able to scale. So again, we're still a bit short of that. Again, if we can be conservative, get the landing page conversion rate to 15%, we're going to be in a good spot. So just by that, I definitely think 0.75% CTR is achievable without being super clickbaity in your ads. You just need to focus on it. And again, landing page, if you improve the headline, improve the structure, and potentially if just improving the ads, will have a positive effect there as well. And you can see just from those two strategic tests and changes that the cash ROAS is now 2.3. We could probably scale this up. But if we can keep the metrics the same when we spend 10K, again, there's going to be 25K in cash from that, and nearly 40K in contracted revenue. So yeah, that makes a big difference. Cool. So let's go to put it back to what it was. So we got 1% and then 20%. And then we'll do. Cool. So give you another example. So this is the effect the price increase can have. So let's say, for example, everything is the same here. Let's say the close rate is a little bit higher, given that the program price is lower, the sales team are performing. In this scenario, there's probably a good case for the lead to call rate to be improved. So this is actually when we helped the client, this was basically exactly how everything looked. And we were able to increase the lead to call rate by about 10% at the beginning, and then I think it's equaled out at about 5 to 7%. By just implementing the cold caller thing that we talked about before, which is having appointment setters call the leads that are generated through the VSL. Because again, you can see here, this is 286 leads a month. Again, 29 of those people are going to book, so there's probably still 200 in there that are a good prospect potentially to get on a call. So yeah, really, when it comes to appointment setters, again, a little bit of a tangent here. we're really looking for them to basically match what is the day one like calls booked and what's being booked through email. So if there's 29 calls booked, would be in a month from ads just purely, we'd be looking for the setters to book another 29. So again, 29 out of the 286, I think is very achievable. Or it'll be less than that, won't it? Because the 29 will be taken away. So let's just say it's 250. So 250 call leads, they should be able to get 29 calls out of that. And again, that will get the lead to call rate up to 20%. So cool. Point of this example is just to show the cost of the change of a price increase, which we can show. So again, like metrics here don't look too bad. Again, the cash rise is 2.2, good. We can scale on that. The contracted revenue is 3.7. So again, over time, there's going to be a snowball effect as you continue to run ads. There'll be more payment plans coming in, and there'll be more revenue that you'll start to realize. And again, the ads will be even more profitable. So let me just increase this because I think we are spending more than that. What are we spending? Let's do. Well, let's use my bad maths here, but cool, 15,000. Okay, let me do that. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is pretty much what the stats look like right now. So even just increasing the price of the program by $1,400 or $1,600, sorry, to 70. Let's see what we can do. Do 6,900 for the memes. You can see the cash ROAS and the revenue ROAS jump up massively, and then we're looking at getting 42,000 in cash in profit day one, like by the end of the month, off of 15,000 to spend. So again, this is going to put us in a great spot. And again, this assumes that all other metrics stay the same. In this example, I think they probably would. Again, there might be a slight dip in the close rate while the salespeople get used to it. Again, they're going to build up confidence at the new price point and build up their conviction. But that's the difference that the price change can make. So I'm going to return everything back. That's what I wanted to show you here. Again, like use this, have a play around. If you're already running ads, it might be helpful for you to just stick in your metrics on here and then just see what you can possibly do. It's going to be pretty glaringly obvious once you look at this and look at all of the examples that I've given, what it is that you need to change and improve. And then it should give you a good basis to improve your ad results and start getting in a better spot. So if you have any questions on this, how to use it, any questions on your own ads, just shoot them in the comments and I'll be happy to reply to them. That's everything from me, so see you in the next one.